Welcome to this conference. The topic today is energy transition, perspectives between France and Germany. And I'm André Pitié, and I'm one of the hosts and event organizers for the German part of the NEOMA Alumni. So today we'll welcome Bénédicte Winter from the Germany Trade and Invest, and she's a senior manager and energy efficiency. And then we'll also welcome Ines Zena from the Deutsche Kreditbank, who is also involved on the topic renewable energies for the French market. Germany, for the NEOMA alumni, is quite a big tribe, a big club. We have more than 2,000 members. And actually, if you compare us with the other clubs of NEOMA alumni, we are in the top 10 with as you can see, the digital and technology entrepreneurs. And I invite you to try also the other clubs and attend more conferences and events. Last year, we organized, or in the last 12 months, we organized 9 events. Some were, let's say, networking with all our alumni. Some were meeting with experts to learn something, a little bit like tonight with Bénédicte and Ines. But we also had Mathieu Girard from Decathlon, who did an event, or Julia Kreis, who talked to us about the OKRs. And we also had bigger events, some in French, some translated simultaneously, where we could invite members of parliament of Germany and of Europe. And in total, we had more than 1,000 members registered to our events this year. And the Superwahljahr, our event that we organized in April, was the second most visited event of this year for the NEOMA alumni. And also want to thank all of our partners. So we don't do that alone. We also work with RFI, Radio France Internationale, the Fonds Citoyen Franco-Allemand, who is financing the translation, automated the live translation, Club Commission, the Denkfabrik, Sciences Po Alumni, and I think we are better when we are working together with others. To give you an idea of the community that we have in Germany, here on the left side, you can see that actually we have more than 2,000 people who are registered here. That's the data from LinkedIn. And actually, we are spread across many cities, more than 300 in Berlin, more than 300 in Munich, but also more than 200 in Frankfurt and Stuttgart, working for the biggest companies that you know, Amazon, Zalando, BMW, BASF, Airbus, KPMG. So if you are looking for a job also in Germany, you should know that having a NEOMA Business School diploma should help you also in Germany. We also have quite a lot of people in Köln and in Hamburg. Just a few words about who is hosting and organizing events. I would like to thank you also, Emmanuel Knapp and Delphine Herré, who are also co-hosts for Berlin. And so we will organize new events in the next few months physically in bars and restaurants, and to meet and network again. So we'll inform you soon about these events. And we also have a team of other hosts and event organizers in Munich, Andreas Calvas and Clément Fennel, and in Düsseldorf with Romain Duplantier. And if you want to also host an event, I encourage you to do that, to contact us, and we'll be very happy to see what we can do together, because that's how the network works. We need more people who are actively participating. One last word, the topic, I don't know if you heard about it, it's called NEOMA Alumni Engaged for Positive Impact. I invite you to go check the website of neomaalumni.com and see the topic. There you will find a PDF of 5 pages who describes our engagement as NEOMA alumni to do something good for the planet in our jobs, and especially in our companies. And actually, the topic of the conference tonight is very close to that. So if you are interested to commit and sign our manifesto, actually, please go on the website of neomaAlumni.com, read the PDF where we talk about this commitment. And at the end, you will see a link where you can sign this manifesto, where the idea is really to actively do something good for the planet, also in your company. That's it. And now we can start maybe our topic of tonight. I am welcoming Benedict Winter. Benedict, you are Senior Manager, Energy Efficiency at the Germany Trade and Invest. And I am welcoming as well Ines Zena, who is in charge of the French market on the topic renewable energy for the Deutsche Kreditbank, DKB. Here we will talk really about like comparing France and Germany and talk about sustainable development, energy transition, and renewable energies. I think we have a lot of definition problems, but first let's maybe discover who you are, and do you want to present yourself? Who wants to start? Benedict, Ines?
I can start because I see that Ines is not starting, so I will start. Yeah, my name is Benedict Winter. I graduated from Rouen in 2009, and currently I'm working for Germany Trade and Invest, which is the economic development agency of Germany. It's an institution of the Ministry of Economy. We're located in Berlin and in Bonn. And my job here at GTI is to support international companies when they want to enter the German market. In my case, it's for the market of energy efficiency. It means that we help them and understanding the German market, understanding the entry strategies that they can have, and we support them with looking for the right location for their business, but also with tax and legal support or financing questions so that they have the best entry possible into the market. And that would be it for a short introduction. Okay, thank you. Ines.
Yes, so first of all, thank you for the invite. It's a pleasure. So my name is Ines Zenner. I'm French and German, and I graduated from NEOMA Business School with a Master Grande École in 2016. So actually, after several years abroad, I decided to come back last year to my hometown, Berlin, where I started working for the DKB. In the field of renewable energies. There, I'm responsible for the French market. So the DKB used to finance renewable projects only in Germany. And since June of this year, we started financing wind projects also in France, but only for existing German clients. So basically, my current job is supporting German DKB clients who look for funding for their wind projects in France. So that job consists in checking all the project contracts, permits, and in sizing loans. So at the DKB, we are doing a lot internally so that we have access as less as possible to external parties to do the due diligence reports. So that's why my job consists also in checking all those contracts and permits. Yeah, that's it.
Hey, thank you for this short introduction, Benedict and Ines. I would like to start with maybe a definition question, Benedict, because here we are talking about energy transition, but what does it really mean? And it's just about, I don't know, producing energy, or more than that? Is it also saving energy?
Yes, I have maybe a bit of a personal definition of energy transition, because I think in many cases it's understood as production of green energy and maybe only production of green electricity. It's the most famous aspects of the energy transition. But as I said, I work on the field of energy efficiency and also renewable heat. And I think it's a second part of the energy transition that is not really known. It's more about the application and the use of energy. So in Germany, for instance, it's about 50% of the end energy consumption that relates to heating. And that's why when I understand energy transition, I think about also the heat transition, transformation of the heating market, transformation of the transport sector. And I think that now in Germany, we see those aspects that are gaining momentum. They are growing a lot. And there are many questions related to that. And I think it's, yes, it's more than just producing green electricity when I understand energy transition.
And when we are preparing this event, you were also talking about the word Wärmewende. Can you maybe give us a translation of that word? Yeah.
Yes, so I don't know, it's quite, I think the concept of Energiewende, energy transition, is quite famous and quite well established in Germany. But in the last years, we have heard a lot, or a lot more at least, of Wärmewende, which is this transformation of the heating sector. And I think it will be a key stake because, you know, we have climate goals by sectors in Germany. So we have the energy sector, of course, where the production of renewable electricity will be very important. But it will also be about decarbonizing the building sector, which is a huge, which has a huge impact on our CO2 emissions. And one sectors where Germany is not meeting its climate goals. So that's one of the aspects of the Wärmewende, but also in the industrial sector, because it will also be a huge impact to decarbonize the industrial German sector, which is a huge emittent of CO2 emissions. And that's why I think that Wärmewende is also very important as part of the energy transition.
So it sounds like an impossible task. It feels like emptying the sea with a spoon, as we say in French. Can you give us an example of the size of a project that would be managed by your department? And can you give a concrete example?
It goes from very small projects, from very innovative companies from Sweden with a waste heat recovery system for kitchens. So it can be very small and very innovative. But we also support companies like Tesla when they are coming to Germany. You know, they are building their factory close to Berlin, and they are looking for the right location site for their expansion to Germany. So that can be really small, with only just establishing a sales office and trying to bring a product to Germany with a few employees. But it can also be huge projects with huge industrial requirements. Right now we have in our department in Berlin, we have huge projects from battery producers, for instance. So that can be very, very diverse.
Before switching to Ines, maybe one last question. You are also welcoming French investors in Germany for the topic. Can you talk about that?
Yes, of course. So my job is actually not focused on France, but of course, since I'm French, it makes sense also to support French company. We have an office in Paris. So I have a colleague that is especially supporting French companies, and if they work on the topic of energy efficiency, of course, then I would be the one supporting them to their market entry. And I think there are some aspects, and I'm sure we'll talk about that, you know, some differences between the two markets, like the structure of the players, the structure of the energy production, that makes it important for French players to understand the German market. We have the Stadtwerke, we have very fragmented energy market, we have delocalized production. So it's really, for French players, it might be difficult to enter this market and to first understand the conditions.
That's where they call you. And so maybe I have now a question for Ines, because you were talking also about the structure of the market, and one big difference between France and Germany is that in France, we almost like to say that we are already a country producing clean energy. Nuclear and hydroelectric is, I'm provoking a little bit, but it's almost seen as a green energy compared to Germany, where there is still this past of coal energy that is still there. And it feels like it's easier to sell a green energy product in Germany, because it's always saying, hey, you stop coal and you do wind energy. But is it that easy to sell green and to finance green energy in France? I asked myself, Ines, do we need like a German bank to invest in France for energy transition? How does it work? And last part of my question, maybe too long. What is the difference between a French bank and a German bank when it gets to investing in energy? Like, what does it bring to have DKB?
Yeah, so indeed, I think it's easier to convince people in Germany that renewables are very important because of the urgency to reduce the coal. And I also agree that in France, there is still the idea that nuclear energy is fully sustainable. However, as well as the PPE, so the Plan Pluriannuel de l'Énergie, multi-annual program for planning for energy, as the Energy Transition Act, plan a real development of renewable energy. So for example, reduction of nuclear energy to 50% of electricity generation by 2025 from 70% in 2019, and increase of the renewable energies up to 40% of electricity generation by 2030, from 21% roughly in 2019. So I feel that the development of renewables is more and more supported in France too, and that there is no other option anymore. And actually the support schemes are similar in France and in Germany nowadays. So, I mean, the 20 years revenues through feed-in premiums and the tender system, so that more and more energy companies, French companies, but also international ones, develop and build projects in France. And in such a context, I think a German bank like the DKB can offer a long-term experience in financing renewable energy projects. So the DKB started financing its first wind park in Germany back in 1996. So since then, it has financed almost 5,000 renewable projects. As the systems are similar in Germany and in France, I mean the same state support, the DKB can totally use its long-term experience. And I think that's the big plus. And maybe the other point you mentioned, what is like the positive aspect, or the plus for companies to work with a German bank. I mean, I think the DKB is like a special thing because we are supporting German companies. So as like now the goals in France are like, there are big goals to develop renewables. A lot of companies from other countries are looking like at France. Oh, that's the great opportunity to develop like renewable projects. So for German companies, it's great to have like a German bank.
Okay, so it's already like German companies who are used to finance renewable energy in Germany, and you help them finance an equivalent in France.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah. Fantastic. Then maybe we can move to another question, and of course at the in maybe 20 minutes we also will start getting questions from the public. You can already add questions in the chat or in the Q&A. Don't hesitate to chat and to give some comments and questions. Maybe a question for you both, but maybe start with Benedict. Benedict, global warming, like last week, Greta Thunberg was in Berlin, and the place in front of the Bundestag was full. Like it really looks like it's moving generations, and not only the young ones. There was also, for example, the omas for future, the grandmothers for future who were there, and it feels like we almost miss the managers for future. And I ask myself, did global warming and the topic of this climate justice, did it have an impact on your career choices? You could work maybe in a company that is not involved in energy transition or renewable, but did this have an impact on your choice to work where you are right now?
Yes, definitely. I was committing to do something good since I started my studies. Even at in Rouen, I was a member of the association Etica, so I had this sensibility for the topic, and it plays an important role in my private life, and I think it's good if you can also combine that with your job life. And that's the case at GTI. I'm really passionate about what I'm doing. We have great innovation. There's a great energy. The thing that you described about the how is it called, demo last week, this energy, I feel it also from the companies that we support when they come to Germany. You know, they bring their innovation. They are willing to save the planet. They come with these objectives, and they want to be a part of this transition, and that's why I really enjoy it, and it definitely makes it more satisfying for me to work in that field, because I can, you know, agree with my with my convictions. So that's the good
That's
thing.
fine.
The good thing.
What about you, Ines?
Yes, I think that growing up in Germany, where sustainable development has been an important topic for years, had an impact on my career choice. So, for example, the fact that in Germany, a huge part of the wind parks were built 20 years ago shows us that sustainable development has been an important topic for years. So when I had to look for a first internship in Germany, I also automatically looked after job in that field of activity, because it's like a present, or it was a present topic. Yeah.
Fantastic. Maybe a question again for you both, and it's about you both have now this very more than now, like you both have a very international profile. And can you explain how you moved from a French business school to a manager position in Germany? And it looks like it's two very different paths for both of you. So could you explain us how you went from the diploma, and maybe even before, because I understand, especially for Ines, that you also have this these German roots, until like working here in Germany. How was the path?
Yeah, so I can start. Yeah, well, I think I'm not maybe not the right example for such a question, because I'm French and German. So my hometown is actually Berlin, where I currently live. But during my studies at NEOMA, I had several times the opportunity to have experiences abroad. So, okay, I did 2 internships in Berlin and then 1 in New York City. It was my master internship, and I worked for a German bank. And I did an exchange semester in Vietnam. So I think NEOMA is a French business school, yes, but with a huge focus on international experiences. And that was like the thing which pushed me like a bit to see, yeah, where I could work and what is possible to do abroad. So another thing I did, like I used to work like 4 years in Mexico after the internships in internship in New York City. And so yeah, all this I think there will like from NEOMA, because I started seeing that we can work with our French degree in other countries. So yeah.
Okay, maybe we'll get back to that topic just after. Benedict, what about you? How did you go from a French diploma to a manager position in Germany?
I can, even if I'm only French, or I was only French, now I got German 4 years ago, but I can confirm what Ines was saying, that through NEOMA it was really possible and easy to go abroad. I had learned Germans for years, and I thought now it's time to, you know, to implement that knowledge and live in the country. And through this association Etica, I found my first internship in Berlin, and it was so exciting. It was in the energy sector. I discovered also the way of the way of life, but also the way of working, the working culture in Germany. And I really enjoyed that culture. I was well prepared, I felt, for this international environment. And along my studies, I came back to Berlin to make another internship and then another one. And then I stayed in the end because I really enjoyed the industrial sector I was working in the energy sector. I started my career in a small German company, but I felt like we were well prepared for that, and that the recruiters on the German side were really open-minded also for our profile. Even if I didn't have a German degree, I thought that they were quite open-minded for that kind of experience. So I think it confirms a bit what Ines said.
Okay, I can confirm also myself, as I also moved to Berlin with a French diploma from NEOMA. Maybe we can move to another part of this career path, and it's the topic sustainable development. And more and more, especially young generations, but not only, want to work in this industry, in this kind of jobs. And is it possible to have a career in sustainable development when you graduate from NEOMA? Because we are used to think our NEOMA, it's only about, I don't know, like finance, consulting, marketing, sales. But what about, like this, we are talking about positive impact. You were talking about Etika. So what do you think about that? And do you have any advices to students and alumni on the idea of moving from a traditional job to a job which has a purpose? Who wants to start? Maybe Ines?
Yes. So, I mean, I think it's important, or it would be important, to consider more jobs in the field of sustainable development. I think when I'm thinking about the classes we had when I was at NEOMA versus the possible jobs in the field of sustainable development, I feel that there are missing many jobs. So, for example, before working in the field of renewable energy, I was totally ignoring project finance for renewable projects, for example. And I personally discovered that job while doing another one, actually controlling in a bank. So even within a company or within a bank, it is still possible to discover new projects and missions. So, and with our degree, it's totally possible to do jobs in sustainable development. For example, I did all my internships as in the field of CSR, corporate social responsibility, and then, yeah, I started working in project finance, which is like is a particular part of finance, but it's finance. So we have like we can do it with our degree. And I mean, we can learn in companies, and so everything is possible. But I think the huge problem is to know all those jobs. And yeah, I think that's maybe a bit the problem of our studies, or there are so many jobs in so many field of activities that it's complicated to see what can be possible, or yeah, for example, in sustainable development.
Thank you very much. Benedict, do you share Ines' opinion? Like, did you were already engaged at Etika, so maybe you already had this this flavor in your diploma even before graduating. But do you share this idea that you can really easily work in like topics connected to sustainable development when you graduate from NEOMA?
Yeah, I think it's just a personal choice, but at my time, even if we weren't really prepared for that kind of jobs, I think we were able to engage in those jobs. We had the connections through the network, we had the possibilities and the knowledge for that. But I think, as Ines said, it was not like really a topic that was addressed at school, and I think it wasn't addressed in many companies either. But I think, at least in my company, this is changing. We are integrating more and more the topic of sustainable development in our internal work, and not only with the external parties, but we are working with the sustainable development goals of the UN, and many companies are taking account of these goals right now. So I think that it's like, you know, we learned doing project management, we learned to deal with softwares, and I think that it has to be mainstream. It has to be some kind of tools that you need to know now, that you need to work with. And I think that now it should also be kind of knowledge that would be taught at school, because I don't think you can ignore that topic in companies anymore. So that would be my point.
So you would both be interested in coming back to school to maybe meet the students and talk about your experience?
Sure, I feel it's really enriching. We have interns, for instance, that are studying or that are younger, and they bring us this feedback. So I think it's important to take account of it.
Okay, thank you. Maybe there is one aspect that we didn't talk too much about, and it's to compare France and Germany. And it was really also in the title of our conference tonight. Do you think that France is like investing better or differently in renewable energy, or also on the topic that you are covering, Benedict, all of this energy efficiency? It feels like in Germany, the topic, for example, energy efficiency, is really popular. Maybe because it's colder and we see more of the energy bill than in France. I don't know. I come from south of France, so we don't really care about the heating problems. But what do you think? Do you see a big difference between both countries when it gets to investing in these topics?
I think that the main difference is in the market structure, really. So we have innovations from France, for instance, that are less profitable, or that save less CO2 emissions because of the structure of the market in France, because of this quite low carbon production. So for energy efficiency, it's more attractive to bring those solutions to the German market, because energy prices are higher. And also because the electricity is or the heating is more CO2 is higher carbonized. So that would be the main difference. And I think in terms of investment, we just have different instruments. So you have these energy saving certificates in France. We don't have them in Germany. And I think that the awareness to the topic is maybe more important here, because you said it's expensive, so maybe people are more motivated to do that. But in the end, you know, we have the European regulation. Everybody will have to implement energy efficiency, and in both countries we'll have, I mean, my topics are like energy efficient renovation of buildings. That's happening in both countries. Decarbonization of the industry might be more important in Germany because of the industrial structure. So that would be maybe some of the differences.
Okay. Ines, do you also like see a difference or feel a difference between France and Germany when it gets to investing, and how easy it is?
Well, as I mentioned at the beginning, yeah, I mean, there are like state support schemes. And I would say it's very similar in France and in Germany, the support schemes, like they're like 20-year revenues. So I don't know, but I think maybe the huge difference is like the acceptancy, that in France, yeah, it's still like the idea that nuclear energy is a clean energy. So, but as I said, like there are goals from the state, and so political goals. So now energy companies have to
Okay.
specialize in renewable energy. So
because
I would
that's
say,
okay.
yeah.
Because we have a question from Lunis Arish, who asks, in your opinion, is energy transition something that must be pushed forward and led by firms rather than governments? And here, actually, we have a good example because DKB is a company, whereas Germany Trade and Invest is more a public service, so to say. So who should lead energy transition?
Well, I think both are necessary because we need the politic goals. So for us as a bank, it's very important also from a risk side to have like as less as possible risks for those projects. So we need the risk-less revenues for the renewable projects. So it can be that the best option, those 20-year contracts, state contracts, but there are other possibilities like the PPAs, so the purchase power purchase agreements. So, but we as a bank need a politics part. That's sure. And then we can do like the job as, okay, now that we have like the politic goals and support, we can help funding those projects. So I think it's a perfect mix of both. And yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. And Benedict, for you, I guess it's also complementary.
Totally agree. I think it's necessary to have as many players as we can to face the challenge. And we have the climate goals from the German government. They have the financial support, as Ines mentioned. You know, it's a bit that they have to found themselves, because from an industrial perspective, for instance, if you want to invest in energy efficiency, you will say, okay, I would like to do it. It's nice to have. I'd like to improve my CO2 balance, but it's too expensive and it's not profitable. And it's a place where the government can implement some support programs. They are doing that. So it's a kind of playing together to find the best conditions to enable the industry to do the changes, but also to support them and give them the direction. So I think it's really yes, playing together and make it together.
I see. We have a question from Usama Sabir. Just before, Usama, you start talking, just a reminder, this conversation, this conference is recorded and will be afterwards published on YouTube. So when you talk, it's important that you know that you agree that like the copyright, so to say, are okay for you, and you agree that your voice or image will be used by NEOMA Alumni. And if that's okay, then please activate your microphone and give your question.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you a lot. Thank you, Ines and Benedict, for being here. So I just would like to introduce myself. So I'm working in a company that is specialized in crowdfunding in the renewable energy. So I am in charge of investor relation in a company that is also a subsidiary of La Banque Postale, one of the biggest banks in France. So mainly we put private individuals, whether or not they are customers of La Banque Postale, in contact with the company that have projects of renewable energy in France. So as Ines and Benedict said, we are also a company that is specialized in the analysis of exploitation, financial, and also all the verification of the legal and administrative authorization. So we support French companies as well as international companies such as NON, RWE, which is a German conglomerate. So I just would like to ask some questions. So about Germany, are there any regulatory framework encouraging private participation in Germany about private individuals, which is who are living in German? What about crowdfunding in the sector of renewable energy in Germany. And I also know that Germany is one of the biggest producer of renewable energy, even though it's always there is always a bad weather. So are there any opportunities for hiring even if we cannot speak German?
Who wants to start?
Maybe I can answer the second one.
Yeah,
sorry.
Okay. No, I would say I think you could maybe better answer the question.
Yeah, the second one about getting started in Germany, I think now it's possible without speaking German, but it makes it more difficult. So it's possible to work in English, but of course you have to be in an international environment. So my colleagues speak German. It's easier if you speak German, especially from the regulatory part, because you have to understand the regulations and everything is in German. So it makes it really easier to be able to speak German. And about the first one, participation for private people in renewable energy projects is really not my topic. I know that there are initiatives with crowdfunding. They're called Bürgerinitiativen for the development of renewable energy projects. I know that they are happening, but I wouldn't be able to give you more information about that.
Yeah, same for me. It's not my main topic, but I know it's existing for renewable energies. And I know that at the DKB, we also have like a department called DKB Crowd. They are in charge of crowdfunding. But yeah, I don't want to say anything without being like an expert of that. So maybe you can check like the DKB Crowd for more information. And yeah, but I'm sure it's a topic for renewable energy, the crowdfunding and the Bürgerbeteiligung. Yeah.
Thanks. This is just because in France there is a lot of regulatory framework that encourage French people to participate in such financial aspects concerning all the projects in the renewable energy. So like a company like NOA and RW can sell the electricity that is produced by a project as with the price much higher than the price that is normally used. So I just would like to know if you have any information about this.
Okay, so maybe no information on that topic.
Thank you.
But thank you for your question. Really interesting question. Do we have other people who would like to come on stage, so to say, and ask a question or add a comment? If so, don't hesitate to unmute yourself. I know that Ria, for example, you were writing a comment in the chat. Don't hesitate.
Yeah, hi everyone.
Hi, Ria.
Yeah, hi.
Do you want to present yourself?
Yes, of course. So I passed out from NEOMA this year, and I was doing my internship in one of these companies based out in UK, and they dealt with sustainable development. So it was a recycling company called Monovolt Private Limited. So they recycle products and then convert them into energy resources. So I was very intrigued to be a part of this conversation, and I was just listening to all of these things and taking most out of it, because now I have founded my own company in India. So it's a marketing agency, and learning and understanding, various perspectives on sustainable development just helps me to grow all the more, because there are a lot of things which I try to implement as a mindset coach as well, because when I'm on trainings with people, while talking about the services, I mean, we just don't provide services, we also provide mindset training, and there are people coming from various backgrounds also, which includes sustainable development and energy transmission, because in India also we are going towards more and more sustainable energy resources. So it was all very nice to be a part of this conversation. Yeah, that's all. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Ines, do you or Benedict, do you want to react? And otherwise, we have some people who are also commenting more in the chat. I see Cécile Lauder and Jean-Marc Cossin. Don't hesitate to come on stage and give your comment with your voice.
I see that there was a question about the
Go ahead.
Sustainable Development Goals, and like I said, we are implementing them at Germany Trade and Invest, and we are there's also a sustainable strategy from the Ministry of Environment in Germany. So definitely, I think it's a worldwide guideline, and Germany is definitely taking it into account as government, but also at the level of German companies.
And what about Europe? Does it play a big role in your job? For example, you were talking about maybe the price of energy, but I thought that actually it was defined at a European level and not at a national level. So do you have to take into account a lot of European legislation or work with Brussels or any European organization? Or can you work just with German organizations? What's the weight of Europe in your daily life?
For me, it would be maybe 20% because they are giving the guidelines. So like I said, you have the renovation wave, we have energy efficiency guidelines and so on, but then the implementation is actually done at the national level. In Germany, it's even done at the local level to some extent. So you will have different regulations about different topics in different Bundesländer. So if you look at energy efficiency or renewable heat, you will have different regulation in Baden-Württemberg, for instance, or you will have cities that are making plans for their local level. And I guess for us, it's our job to make that clear for people coming from the outside, for international companies. So even if it's decided maybe at the European level, our job is more, to make Germany more transparent and to explain you the fine differences that you will find here between Germany and other countries, but also within Germany.
What about you, Ines? Does European regulations or European organization have an impact on your daily life?
No, I would say it's like really national. So we're checking a lot like the national rules in terms of renewable energies, like the permits. So it's very national. Yeah, the goals and like the tender system. So no, I would say it's really national.
Okay. If we don't have more questions, I think we can wrap up maybe with one last word from both of you, if you want to give a conclusion on the topic, and also where do you see yourself maybe in the next few years? Do you think you will still work for something in the topic sustainable development or energy transition? Where do you see yourself and for both of you in the future? Do you think you can leave this sector now that you have your now that you are involved there, or once you are in sustainable development, you cannot leave it? We will stop with your both comments. Who wants to start? Ines?
Yep. So you can always leave a sector, but personally I'm passionate about sustainable development and renewable energies, and so it was quite complicated for me to enter the sector of renewable energies because some companies were like, we need people with experience in that field of activity. And so now that I'm in this, I think we are like some experts, people who are working in that field of activities for several years. So now my plan is to stay in renewable energies and maybe to, in some years, change like the country I'm working for. So now it's the French market. So maybe in a few years it will be another country. But today I plan to stay in renewable energies. So, and I think for me, it's so nice to know that I have a positive impact with my job. So yeah, I would say that's the final works, the final word. So I'm happy to have a positive impact with my job, and it was a pleasure to share things tonight.
It was very insightful and inspiring. Thank you, Ines. Benedict?
Yes, from my side, maybe 2 points. The first one would be to say that my company is here to help French companies. I've seen someone in the chat actually working with GTAI. So if you consider expansion, if you consider coming to the German market, we are here to help. That would be the first message. And the second one is that indeed, I think we are at the beginning of the energy transition, like I said at the beginning, in terms of energy efficiency, in terms of this transformation of the heating sectors. And those are so interesting challenges, so important stakes. There are great technologies in the fields of waste heat recovery, thermal storage, or decarbonizing the district heating networks, and all this is so exciting, and I feel like we are at the beginning of this transformation. So I really would love to continue to be part of it and to make it happen, you know, in reality, and I think it's gonna increase a lot, and I would love to be a part of this transformation.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Thank you so much, Benedict Winter from the Germany Trade and Invest, and Ines Zena from the DKB. Thank you so much for this discussion. Almost 1 hour. Who would have thought that we can talk so long for such a topic? But actually, you can really see a lot of passion and meaningful work, and it actually makes me want to change my job when I listen to you. So thank you everybody also for listening to us, and you will find this conversation soon on YouTube, and we will also inform you per email about the next events that we'll organize in the next few months, and very soon actually we will meet in real life, and hopefully maybe we'll also be able to meet in Berlin sometime.
Thank you so much, Andre. Thank you to everyone.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.